Of course, it's taking 2 seconds longer than normal. Okay, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live once again. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics. And on the phone right now with me is Tony from EGS Grading Services. He is the owner of the EGS grading service, which I just started doing deals with just the other day. I did a video if you haven't seen it. And I wanted to ask him, from a professional's point of view, about certain, what seems to be topics that most people seem to be not understanding from my point of view, as me but not being a professional grader, even though I showed information that shows factual statements of how professional grading companies tend to grade comics. So I thought the best thing to do is get a professional online. Now, we haven't gone through this conversation. He literally just called me. I tried to do the video about 2 seconds ago, but he wasn't available when I called. Called me back, and he's on the phone right now. So, Tony, if you want to say hello to everybody, please do.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Trombetta, president of EGS Comics Grading, and I'm happy to be with you here, Chris.
Perfect. Welcome. Give people, if you can, a little bit of a background of your company and what you know about as far as grading a comic book.
Yeah, well, EGS we started in 2018. We're on our 5th year. And as far as comic grading, we've always been, we are really the first company that's been transparent in our standards and how I grade as a grader, and that is by the Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics. So that's where I was taught, and I passed my education in that, and that's what I've been using to grade comics since day one.
Okay.
So,
now, how long has that company been in business as far as your information about them choosing what would be the details of grading a comic book? How long have they been around?
Yeah, Overstreet's been around for, probably since I want to say 50s or 60s.
Okay.
And I think they published their first guide to grading comics back in the 80s. And of course, so often after so many years, they will, update and come out with a new guide. But I think their first one came out in the 80s.
Okay, so this is way before any of the grading companies, including CGC, ever even came into existence. Is that correct or accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They came out with their guide first.
Okay.
For sure.
Perfect. So the other day, I don't know if you saw it or how much you saw it if you did, but I did a video based on a Hulk #1 that I got back that seems to have experienced a lot of controversy, because even myself at first, when I saw it, I expected it and thought it would be a 0.5, but it came back a 1.0. And me being the type of person that always wants to make sure I get the right grade, because on numerous occasions, if I had a grade that I felt was completely off, I would instantly crack it open. Now, the difference between a 0.5 and a 1.0 is not like, an extreme difference. But I wanted to make sure that I checked to verify if it was indeed warranted. So what I did was I went to Heritage Auctions after examining a couple of different places that talked about how they graded comics. What is your opinion about the Heritage Auctions version of how they will grade a comic?
Yeah, it's actually ironic that you bring that up, because if you look, and if you have an Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics and you look at Heritage's definition, they pretty much just copied and pasted what Overstreet has in their guide.
Okay, so it's verbatim, word for word. They basically copy and pasted everything that Overstreet has been doing since, you said, like the 80s, but has been around since the 60s or 50s.
Yeah, of course. whatever their definitions are in the in Overstreet's guide. That's what they had put. That's what they put in their definitions.
Perfect.
On their. Yep.
All right. Now, there's controversy that I seem to be experiencing because my job as a YouTuber that talks about comic books is not always to be saying what's most popular or what is going to get me the most ad revenue or what my feelings are. It's basically trying to share information that I get that will help expand the knowledge of people learning about things like grading comics. And one of the things I researched and did a video on just now was because a couple of people actually asked this question, and as a professional, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. When a person cuts out, for example, a Marvel stamp, value stamp, or a coupon, or takes out a page that affects the story, it's typically graded as incomplete. But if a rodent or insect, for example, chews out a part of a comic that also can affect the story, it is not considered incomplete and tends to not be labeled that way. In your expert opinion, can you give an example as much as you can of, first, if that is accurate to what I've said, and why it would be that way?
Yeah, well, because basically that is correct. I mean, because when somebody goes, and let's just face it. I mean, back in the '60s was a whole different generation than what's today. And back then, they had Marvel stamps and coupons and everything that you can cut out of a comic book if you deemed you wanted to. And back then, the collectability of comics, just like baseball cards, were not prevalent like they are today. So you got a lot of people that cut the value stamp or coupons or promotions to send them in and do whatever. So that act was purposely done, right? To send in or do whatever that the advertisement or whatever was offering. When a rodent or a bug chews it, they're not. There's no motive. They're just chewing it to eat, right? So that's why there is that difference, because it's just the motive part of it. If you can understand that.
Absolutely.
So you can't control. Look, you can't control a rodent trying to eat a book for food. You can't compare that to somebody physically cutting that out purposely to do something with.
Okay, so just to clarify so people understand, if you were sent a comic where a rodent ate, let's say, about a silver dollar size worth of the comic, it does affect the story. Will that ever be listed as incomplete in a grading according to your professional knowledge?
No. As far as I'm concerned, no, it would not.
Okay, and what do you feel, on average, the other grading companies would do? Do you think they would be similar in your reaction, or do you think they would be different?
Well, that's the thing, Chris. I mean, this industry is so subjective. I have, and unfortunately, they don't give a lot of information on that, right? So, I really don't know. I can just, go by Overstreet's definitions and stick to that. What the other companies deem appropriate or how they grade, that's a great question. And maybe, if by some miracle you can get a hold of a president or a manager or a vice president of the company and they come on and answer that question, that's probably the only way you're going to find out.
Yeah.
And I doubt that's going to happen, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've found with the bigger companies, they are not as, let's just say, accessible. So, because the video that I am getting seems to be getting this controversy, and I can understand because people have been, when you have any belief system, it's kind of hard to change it for most of. But a lot of people are saying that they seem that it's unfair that a rodent or bug can chew part of a comic that could be even larger than a Marvel value stamp and not get a label posted on that, but if somebody cuts out a little Marvel stamp, they will get it as incomplete. Anything more you'd like to add to that as regards to that kind of situation where people, they base it more on feeling than actually what a grading company like yours will do to grade a book as accurate as possible?
Yeah, I mean, again, people's opinions are what they are, right? They're opinions. It's just like we're giving our opinion on giving a grade on your comic book, okay? We do our job the best that we know how to, right? And we tell you, as far as EGS is concerned, we tell you, we give you free grader's notes. We give you the opportunity to buy an Overstreet guide to grading comics, and you can see and look for yourself. But, people's, at the end of the day, Chris, people's opinions are going to be their opinions.
Correct.
Right? No matter what I do, no matter what you do. And, it is what it is in that, I mean, look, EGS is not going to do things the same as CBCS. CBCS isn't going to do things the same as CGC. CGC isn't going to do the same thing as PGX. I mean, it's we're all different, independent companies with our own set of standards. Okay? Now, again, my company is the only one that lets the whole public know what our standards are. Okay? There's nothing behind the curtain. Right, you can buy yourself an Overstreet guide to grading comics. It'll tell you all the definitions. It has a chart on there with how many allowable defects are in each grade that's allowed. There's a chart that you can look at that you could at least say, oh, okay, a 9.8 is allowed, 2 defects, no more. That's the max. A 6.5 is allowed 13 defects, max in that grade. The other companies, they don't tell you that. They don't give you that opportunity to say, hey, if you have this many defects, you're going to be, in this grade range. We give everybody that option to go out and buy a book, and you can have that information right in front of you. So, look, just because EGS or Overstreet says something, that doesn't mean PGX is going to follow it. It doesn't mean CBCS is going to follow it. It doesn't mean CGC is going to follow it. They might follow it to 20% of it. They might follow 50% of it. It's just, you don't know because they don't tell you.
Right.
Right? So this whole thing about, was it a 0.5 or a 1, Chris, I mean, at the end of the day, you say tomato, I say tomato. I mean, it's within a 0.5 of a grade. All I'm saying is, I would definitely say, I mean, is a 1.0 grade a bogus grade? No, I think it's, pretty spot on. Is a 0.5 a bad grade on that book? No, but a 2.5 or a 3, now that's a different story.
Right.
A 0.3 would be a different story. So it's again, it's people who think they know the way a certain grading company grades books. Okay, and they want to give their opinion, and that's fine. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. But at the end of the day, Chris, you can crack that book out, and all these people that are saying CGC would give it a 0.5, you could show up to a show and submit it, and it could very easily come back a 1.0. Hell, it could come back a 1.5 maybe. Who knows what grader you're going to get, and how they're going to grade it.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's this whole thing about people wanting to pit grading companies against each other, and who this company's good, this company's bad, and their opinion. It's just it's a shame. It has to be that way, because at the end of the day, Chris, we're all doing the same thing. The only difference is the other companies have their standards behind a curtain, and we don't. But we're still doing the same thing. So it's going to be subjective. It's going to be different. And really, that's really it. I mean,
and that's perfect. Now, let me ask so other people, in case they don't know, because I don't know either when I want to ask you. Did you watch the video I did the other day about the Hulk 1 and describing all of the information I got from ChatGPT and from Heritage Auctions?
Yes, I did. I actually really just watched your first unboxing. That's what I had watched. And as soon as that book came out, as soon as you showed it before the grade, I automatically had in my head, oh, that's going to be a 0.5 to a 1.
Okay. So
basically what I'm saying is, would somebody give it, excuse me for 1 second.
Yep.
Would I give it a 0.5 or a 0.1 possibility? I mean, without consulting the graders guy, just in my head, by looking at it, I had it in a 5 to a 1 range.
Perfect. So, in your professional opinion, a 1.0 is not out of the realm of possibility like some are claiming?
No.
Okay.
No.
Perfect. And now, with your expert opinion based on your business, you saw the amount of the insect shoes. Does that warrant it getting an incomplete?
No.
Okay.
No.
There you go. And I want to really let people out there that are watching this know that I can understand that people have opinions, like you said, and they're entitled to them. But the difference between a person that works at a company and the person that is sending in the comic is although you will have some of your opinion based because it's human error, you're basing what you grade a comic on by the information that has been provided from you over years and decades of people gathering information.
Yeah, correct. It's a standard, Chris. I mean, it's a standard that's been put up by Overstreet, and and look, again, people. Am I saying that Overstreet is the authority and they are the know-all, end-all of everything? No. And if you ask them, they'll tell you it's just their opinion on what they deem to be, this and this, what is allowable in each grade, for your book. So, again, at the end of the day, in this industry, Chris, people have to understand there's no regulation.
Right.
Okay? There's no one entity that says, look, all you grading companies, you all have, this is the standard. This is the standard that all grading companies have to grade by. Okay? There's none of that. It's really, when you come down to it, it's the wild, wild west. I mean, look, everybody has their way and their standards of grading, right? And, it's up to you to accept them or not. I wish we were regulated. I wish that graders would have to have a license. I wish there would be like a board of whoever, to deem this is correct, this is the correct way to do it, this is allowable, this is not allowable, but there's none of that. You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Yeah, and I guess that would come up to the customer base to be able to share their views, to be able to maybe possibly have something like that happen. And honestly, this is exactly why, because I also, as you know, I'm in contact with Daniel Patterson, the owner of PGX, and I thought about calling him, but I thought, all right, to have the owner of that company talk about the grade that he graded, he's going to be more biased in the sense of, they might be more justification for the favorability of their own company on their own graded comic. And that's why I wanted to call you, who, you can say straight out here, and you can, that you have no skin in this game and you're sharing what you base your expertise on.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, PGX is a competitor, right? I mean, to myself. But, that doesn't mean, that, I hate PGX, or I hate CBCS, or I hate CGC. I mean, we're all doing, the same thing. And at the end of the day, we have to do our job to the best of our ability. And if people accept that, great. If they don't, there's other options.
And I think that's what consumers sometimes forget, that having competition is what keeps quality and even lower prices and better services from disappearing.
Yes.
So that's
100%.
And that's why I'm grateful not only to have been working with PGX, but to start having this situation with you. And just to make sure, so people can understand, because for some reason people will make presumptions about me. Do we have any contract signed, or am I getting paid at all by you?
No, not at all.
Okay. I wanted to make sure people understand that, because I've had people in the past accuse me of being paid by a PGX, which I do not. So I want to make sure the owner...
Look,
what? I'm sorry?
Yeah. Yeah, no, those people, they're just... I don't understand it. They really... people who claim that and make those accusations, Chris, against you, they don't know you, because if they knew you, you would be the first one to tell me if I sent you something graded and you, disagreed with the grade and I was way off in your opinion, you're going to let me know about it.
Yeah.
You're going to say, hey, Tony, how did you grade this book, with this? Did you not see this? Did you not see that? I mean, you're going to be the first one to, to bring it to my attention. So, if you were, let's just say, paid by somebody, right? They're paying you. If something like that happens and you're getting paid by that company, are you going to do that?
Exactly.
No, absolutely not. I mean, so it's, some of the stuff out there, it's really ridiculous, and it's a shame. But again, look, we're in America. People have free speech. They can say and believe whatever they want, but at the end of the day, again, we, our jobs, and I'm going to bring everybody into this. Every grading company's job is to give the consumer our best. Whether you agree with it or not, that's our job. And at the end of the day, people are going to like it. People are not going to like it. So. But there's no winning, really.
But you do the best that you can based on the information that has been provided to help you do your service the best as possible, and that's something I appreciate. And I want my subscribers to know, before I let you go, any information you want to give them. But before we get into that part, because I want you to promote your business, can you tell the audience that's listening, even though I'm a small channel with very small amount of people watching, what was the reason why you contacted me to want to help talk about your company and work with you?
Well, because, Chris, I've known, I've been following you for years, even before I started my company, and I've always known you to be a straight shooter, somebody that's not going to follow a mass and have their own thoughts and independent thoughts on things. And those are the kind of people that I like to be associated with, because they understand the way things are. You're not pretending to be something you're not. You're not even though you sell comics, you're not one of those people that are going to get a grade and think the world is falling because it didn't hit a certain grade. You understand what we do as grading companies, and if you have a problem with it, you're going to call it out. Where other people, maybe using other grading companies because of maybe monetarily, they're invested in a company because of the value of their books, they're not going to say anything about it. They're just going to let things ride and just, put up with it. Or you do have the people that will call them out, and they'll call them out, but they'll keep using them. So, I mean, it's one of those things, Chris, that it's a shame, that people put up with other services just for monetary values, but I would never tell anybody to not get the most they can for something. But at the end of the day, I believe you have to be transparent. You have to do the best you can for your customers, and that's what I believe we do here at EGS for sure. But again, that's why I contacted you, because again, I know you're legit, and I know how you think, and that's people like yourself is who we here at EGS, let's just say, want to be a part of. You know what I mean?
And I appreciate that. That means a lot to me, because that's one of the reasons why when I do any unboxings, I always do them live, because I don't want anybody to ever accuse me of editing or doing something to make a company either look good or bad. And there's 2 videos that I remember, and they're still out there for people to check. One of them was a PGX book that I opened. I forget the book. I think it was Amazing Spider-Man 129, but I could be wrong. And I thought that grade, in my opinion, and obviously I'm not a professional, but I'm pretty accurate with my grades over the years. People can check it out. But I thought it was going to be around between a 3 and a 3.5, and it came back a 6.5. And I said there is, in my opinion, no way it could be that difference in a grade. And I, on air live, tore it out of the case and resubmitted it. And in a second time, which was more recently, about maybe a year and a half ago, I sent in a PGX book that had, it was Hulk 181, that did not have the Marvel stamp, and they did not mention it. So I could have been like some people that I've seen, that they'll take advantage of that opportunity and say, well, it'll be somebody else's problem. But I can't do that, because it hurts not only the business, because mistakes can happen, but it hurts the people that you sell it to just to make a little extra money. I don't understand that concept.
Yep. Well, it's all about, unfortunately, Chris, it's all about greed, and money. And, it's a shame.
Yeah.
People will put those videos out, I mean, I know there's another YouTuber who I, respect a lot, who is, Journos, Comics and Pop Culture, that we do a lot of stuff with. And, he just showed, right on air, he got a 9.8 with like 5 or 6 color-breaking spine tigs, very visible. I mean, right when he showed it. And, like you, he said, look, this is for my personal collection. I would never sell this book. If I ever wanted to sell this book, I would crack it out and sell it raw.
And that's important to the community, and I think more people should think about those things. And that's exactly why, when I was first starting my channel, I was thinking of a name, and I was originally going to call it I Love Comics, but then I thought about it. The reason I pick We Love Comics is because that's ultimately, regardless of why you collect comics, whether to read them or to invest in them, because I'll be the first to admit, I will on occasion sell my comics. I've had plenty of live auctions, and I like having comics that are collectible and have investment properties. But I wanted the love to be the most important part, and that's why I was never afraid to speak out about things that I thought could hurt the comic book community. So when I hear things like from what you do, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to work with your company when you contacted me. To me, it was a no-brainer, because you have that same mentality where you care more about the quality than the quantity. And anything you'd like to do to promote your business at this point, I'm going to give you the floor, and I want to thank you for this interview. We did not plan this in advance. There was nothing really spoken to other than asking you if I could do a live video when you called me, and I want to give you this opportunity. Anything you want to say about your business and to the people listening?
Yeah, well, everybody, you can go to EGScomicsgrading.com. That's our website. A couple things. If you haven't watched Chris's video that he actually just did a few days ago about EGS and kind of what we do and who we are, we offer pressing and cleaning services, signature verification. We have colored and custom labels as an option for you if you'd like it. If that's for you, we have plenty to choose from. If it's not for you, we have your basic standard blue label, yellow label, like everybody else for our certified and our signature. But we do give you, the option to choose. We do, our turnaround times are competitive with everybody else. We have new cases. To me, that we spent a lot of time and money to develop. It's our first generation, and I think we're right up there, just as good or better than our competition. And again, we are the only grading company that believes in transparency, and we tell you again how we grade and what our standard is, and we give you the option to say, hey, look, you might not like what we put on there for a grade, but maybe go out and buy an Overstreet Guide to Grading Comics, and then you'll understand how we got there at the end of the day. So those are just a few things. Check us out. Also, we do have a YouTube channel. I haven't done a video in forever because I just have not had the time, but there are some videos on there for you to check out. There's a video on there if you have any questions on submitting. We do have an online submission form on the website, but it's pretty simple. But if you are confused, we do have a video on the YouTube channel on showing you how to submit. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram and Facebook as well. So check us out, and if you haven't tried us, try us out and see for yourself, what we're all about.
Now, how would they have to find you on YouTube or other social medias? What would they have to type out to get you on YouTube or any of the other places you mentioned?
We're EGS Comics on YouTube, EGX Comics on Instagram, Expert Grading Service on Facebook, and we are at The Real EGS Comics on Twitter.
Perfect. Tony from EGS, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to answer a lot of questions. Like I said, this was not pre-programmed. We didn't know about this. I am so proud to be a part of working with your company, and thank you for explaining things so people can understand that when I talk about things on my channel, I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings. I'm not trying to ruin their day. I'm trying to get people to understand something that they seem to love and enjoy, and that's collecting comics for whatever reasons. And I appreciate somebody that's coming from a professional experience to be able to share their thoughts on some things that, when it comes out of my mouth, seems to be controversial.
Yep, no, my pleasure, Chris. And again, if anybody has any questions or concerns, we're easily to get a hold of. You can call us at the shop. You can DM us on any of our social media outlets, as well as email us at egscomics@yahoo.com, and we will gladly answer any questions that you have pertaining to anything. And we always, for sure, we believe customer service is our number one priority, so you will get a response. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's in a couple hours, sometimes it might take us a day, but it won't go past that. So again, feel free to get in contact with us if you have any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now, there's going to be about a 7-second delay when I end the video, so keep that in mind, because even when I end the stream, it will continue for about another 7 seconds before it shuts off. But I want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to help explain things. Hopefully, that helps people think about researching more into what they love, especially if they're doing it for investment purposes and grading their comics. I will say, out of personal note from seeing your new cases, it is an incredible upgrade, so I will vouch for that. And I want to thank you for taking your time, and I hope people come out with something positive out of this video. So, Tony, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, Chris. My pleasure.
All right. To all my viewers, thanks for watching. There's going to be a pause for about 7 seconds. And then hopefully you'll like the video. Hopefully you'll go check out EGS. You have all the different ways to contact him. And even if you want to ask questions, as Tony said, he'll be more than glad to help you. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Go check out the EGS YouTube channel. And I'll see you next